Welcome to Library Out Loud, a conversation about any and all things related to the Spokane County Library District. Library Out Loud is brought to you by the Spokane County Library District and our friends at STCU. Now, here's your host, Jane Baker.
Hello and welcome to Library Out Loud. I'm Jane Baker, the Communication and Development Director for the Spokane County Library District. Joining me today, these two lovely ladies working with the Spokane is Reading Committee. We have Eva Silverstone with Spokane Public Libraries and Erin Dodge, also with the Spokane County Library District. And we're here today to talk about Spokane is Reading. Very excited.
I am excited. I'm really excited about this book this year.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get into talking about this book really soon here. First, let's talk a little bit about Spokane is Reading. What is Spokane is Reading?
Well, I could jump right into that. So Spokane is Reading has been going on for quite a number of years. Since 2002 was our first year.
And so 16 years now, huh?
16,
right?
This is our 17th year.
17th year.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. Math.
So it's a one book, one community read program. And so we choose a book for the entire community to read, and we present it to the community, and we say, hey, everyone, let's read this book. And why do we do this? We do it for a number of different reasons. We want to knit the community closer together by, if you have a common thing to talk about, like if you're sitting in the waiting room outside of Library Out Loud and you're reading Amy Stewart's Girl Waits with Gun, and somebody walks in and says, oh, I read that book too. That was such a good book.
Sure.
Suddenly you have something in common.
Shared experience.
You have a shared experience.
Yeah.
And you may not have ever met this person, but you have something to talk about. So,
because you've been someplace, you've been to the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in like a fictional place. You've
Sure.
been to a book together.
Yeah.
And so, and then also another reason we like the idea of a one book, one community program is that unfortunately there are many lapsed readers and adult lapsed readers. And I think people go through college and they read and read and read for college, and then they get their first job and they're working really hard. And there's just not a lot of time to read. And then, when you have kids,
Agreed.
Life is really busy. And by the time you get the kids to bed and have a few minutes to yourself, you got to put laundry in, do dishes, and a lot of people stop reading, which to me seems like crazy because I read a ton. But we meet people every year who say, I'm really busy. I don't have time to read, but I always read the one book that Spokane is Reading chooses.
Okay.
And so we're recreating readers by presenting this program.
Agree. You described my reading life cycle just fine. You grow up as a reader. If you have parents, I was fortunate to have a parent who read, and I read, and reading was very important. And then you go through college, and you have to read for learning. Read. You have to do a lot of reading, a lot of studying. You get out of college, and the idea of fiction reading is such a luxury that it took a while to get back into it. And then it's like, what do I read?
Right.
Yeah. And that's where I think Spokane is Reading is a big help. You make a great suggestion. If it's only one book a year, that's great.
Yeah.
So that's the tough part. How do you decide on a book every year?
Oh, that's really hard.
That is really hard. We read a lot.
Yes.
We do read a lot.
We get suggestions also every year after an author comes and people who are there, they suggest other authors. And often they're way out of our range. We have a tight budget.
There's a budget to work within,
To bring in an author, you usually have to pay them to come and speak. So we try, if we can, to get the large authors every now and then when we have a budget. But mostly we're working in budget, and we're looking for authors that are really great, really great stories, really great books that maybe are a little under the radar here and there, and we're gonna, bring them up to people, get them more well known and well read. So, but
I think people would be surprised to find out how much some of these authors cost to bring in.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Because I mean, working at a library, we hear this a lot. Why don't you bring this author, or this author, or this author?
Yes.
And it's like, oh, I'd love to, but that's $25,000.
there's tens of thousands
or more, and
for some authors.
pay for their airfare
Yes.
and their lodging while they're here, and
All that.
and libraries don't always have a lot of funds to deal with that.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And speaking of libraries, let's backtrack a little bit. Spokane is Reading is a collaboration
Right.
between Spokane County Library District, Spokane Public Library,
And
and
then also-
Auntie's Bookstore.
Right.
Yeah.
So Spokane is Reading is actually its own nonprofit, which allows us to apply for grants,
Yes.
and then, but it has representatives from Spokane Public Library, Spokane County Library District, and Auntie's Bookstore, like you mentioned, and together we, those three entities. Put in time, staff time, and resources, and then Spokane is Reading applies for grants. The major funding for Spokane is Reading comes from the Friends of the Library groups.
We love
that-
our friends.
Yes,
Yes.
we love our friends.
Yeah.
So Spokane County Library District has friends groups, and Spokane Public Library also has friends groups, and they put in the lion's share of the funding for this program.
They do.
And they are amazing because they are all volunteers. They work with they work with their hearts, and that's how they fund things like summer reading and Spokane is Reading.
Lots of great programs.
And we also have been lucky for quite a while now to, we've been getting a grant from Humanities Washington. And Auntie's, when you buy a book at Auntie's for Spokane is Reading, portion of that comes into our coffers as well to help fund the next year.
And that's not just the night of
That starts-
Spokane is Reading. That starts now. So even if you go down and buy the book today,
Yes.
a portion of those funds helps support Spokane is Reading.
Exactly.
Good to know.
Yes.
Yes.
But if you can't afford the book, the libraries buy lots and lots of copies.
Yes.
In different formats.
And yes, exactly.
So if you don't have the time to sit and read a paperback, you can get the audiobook either on your phone, your device.
Or
Sometimes you get
CDs.
the CDs and you can play it in your car, and on your commute you could listen to the book.
So you can listen to it or also check it out
Which
on
is
an
also
e-reader.
reading.
Yes, it is.
Audiobooks are still reading.
This is audiobooks. I love the whole concept of audiobooks is just fabulous. So when you say different formats, those are the different type of formats that the
ebooks,
libraries have.
yes.
Yes.
We have it was hard to get this one in large print, but we have a few copies.
The county has, I think, one or two as well. So
I think we have three. We had to buy them used. And,
so did we.
Those of us with those aging eyes really appreciate
Yes.
that large print. So then when you're choosing an author, as you said, Erin, you want a good one, so it's usually not their first book. It's usually an author with a body of work, or how's that?
we hope so.
What is the criteria? Is there any set criteria, or is there a lot of gut feeling on this?
Yeah, we want an author who's alive.
Oh, well,
and,
that helps.
yeah, because we want the author to visit Spokane.
Sure.
And
not
talk
in a
to our
seance.
readers.
No,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, not in a seance. So, and one year we were not able to get the author, and it really, I think it was not as much fun for readers. And so since then, that was our second year with Cold Mountain by Charles Fraser. He did not respond to our inquiries to come to Spokane. And
Wow.
and so since then, we've said we really want the author to come to Spokane.
Yeah, that's
And-
the draw.
Yeah,
I think
people love that brush with fame and getting to ask an author the specific question that they had when they were reading the book. Another thing we do is we don't want a book to be too long, because if you pick up a book and it's that thick, 500, 600 pages, you're like, oh my gosh, do I have time for this book?
Right.
And this looks really heavy,
Yeah.
physically and mentally. And so, and then we try and look for a book with many different characteristics that will appeal to people. So.
And topics that people will want to talk about. So I guess we're looking for things some themes, maybe something that could cause some conversation. Yeah.
I think this book nails it.
Yes.
And there are strong characters, a good story. There's a good setting because it takes place in historical New York and New Jersey, and it's well written. So, and then there's good conversation topics because there's a lot of turn of the century. And women's rights women are getting a few more rights, and there's a lot of discussion topics regarding women's rights and how far we've come in gaining our rights. And
It's still a hot topic today.
Yeah, and
we've come a long ways, but there's still a long ways to go.
very much so.
Yeah.
And women didn't have the right to the vote at the time that this book takes place, and that comes into play in part of the story. And women in New York, women couldn't be police officers because they didn't have the right to vote. So one of the rules of being a police officer is you had to be a voter. And they didn't say you have to be a man, you have to be a voter. And and so women automatically couldn't be police officers in New York because they couldn't vote.
Yeah,
And
very
so-
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
very current. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about this year's Spokane is Reading selection. It is Girl Waits with Gun. I have it correct there, and it's by Amy Stewart, and we're going to come back and talk more about that on Library Out Loud.
Today, I will spark an idea.
Today, I'll help a student uncover the mysteries of DNA.
Today, I will nurture creativity.
Today, I'll help someone figure it out.
Today, I will protect our future by digging into the past.
Today, I will build a business that makes learning fun.
How will the future look?
What will we discover?
Invent.
Create.
Will we find ways to revive our planet?
Develop meaningful, high-paying jobs.
When most of those jobs don't even exist yet.
It'll happen because
We'll be the ones to invent those jobs.
It starts with better skills in math and science.
Engineering,
Technology.
And the arts.
It takes a willingness to try.
And fail.
and try again.
because great things never happen on the first try.
Some communities are defined by geography.
Ours is defined by a vision.
That encourages everyone
To develop a passion for learning.
It happens when high school freshmen learn college-level science.
When a teacher learns robotics.
When ideas are sparked with play.
By providing the tools to tinker.
And the space to create.
and our future gets better when we learn from our past.
I'm Randy.
I'm Mike.
I'm Brooke.
I'm Lexi.
She's Barb.
He's Marty.
We're all connected by a credit union.
That's invested in our community.
For over 80 years.
Supporting teaching, learning,
And creating.
To make sure your future
And mine.
Are here for good.
SDCU. Here for good.
Snoring can disrupt marriages and cause serious health problems. Call Sleep Better Northwest first, the experts in dental sleep medicine. Their medically approved, custom-fit oral appliances will have both you and your partner sleeping better and being more productive throughout your day. Don't wait. Snoring and sleep apnea can signal potential strokes or heart attacks. For more information, visit needbettersleepnow.com and download our health guide today. Sleep Better Northwest, the experts in dental sleep medicine.
Is your child having trouble coping with a personal disability, but don't know where to go? Consider our friends at Breakthrough Incorporated. Breakthrough takes great pride in mentoring their DDA clients who have intellectual disabilities and their BRS clients who have challenging behaviors toward the creation of safe, appropriate, ethically sound life goals. They integrate programs at school and home to enrich their lives. They work hard to make a positive difference in you and your family's lives. Breakthrough provides a highly structured, fully staffed residential setting in local neighborhoods, 6 in Spokane and 2 in the Tri-Cities. Diagnoses affect people differently, so their service to each resident is unique, giving them the opportunity to grow and evolve. For more information on Breakthrough, visit their website at breakthroughincorporated.org.
Welcome back to Library Out Loud. We're talking Spokane is Reading with Eva Silverstone and Erin Dodge, two members of the Spokane is a Reading Committee. Thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about the book here in just a moment, but first, Spokane is Reading happens when?
Thursday, September 27th. We have an afternoon event with the author Amy Stewart at 1 p.m. in Spokane Valley at the Spokane Valley
Event
Center.
Okay.
Yes. And then in the evening, we're going to be at the downtown Spokane Public Library, 7 p.m. with the author.
Awesome.
And probably she'll mix things up a little bit, so you could actually come to both and get a little different experience.
It always ends up being a little different because of the questions that
Sure.
people ask.
Sure.
And the authors tend to use a lot of the time for questions, which you get a different flavor from different audiences. And
Yes.
so,
it is fun.
Yeah.
People think, if you haven't been to see an author, you think, oh, do I want to go to that? That doesn't sound too exciting, but it is a lot of fun. You get to go, you get to hear the author speak. They talk about their process in writing and what was going on, what influenced them. And then you get to ask questions.
Right.
You have a chance to get up and meet them and get the book signed. I have a stack at home like about this.
I think I
all
have
these
2
book
shelves.
signs. And it's really a unique experience and absolutely at no charge. It is
Correct.
free. It lasts about an hour, and what a great thing. In fact, during the daytime one, I believe there's classrooms that show up sometimes, English classes and things. And what a great thing for the high school teachers to be doing
And
is
Aunties is at each event to sell the book if you don't have a
have
chance to pick
one.
it up and you want to purchase one
Yep.
at the event. So.
you can get it. You can purchase it and have it signed by the author right there. So
That's right.
Yeah.
You mentioned classrooms, and earlier we were talking about how we choose a book, like the length, having it available in multiple formats, good characters, plot, etc. We also try and make it something that is accessible for students, and so upper high school level, college level students. I'd say this book could be read by a middle schooler.
Sure.
I think so.
A middle schooler who's a good reader. It's certainly steeped in history, and so a great way to. For me, I love learning about history or other places through fiction because there's a lot of fact that goes into fiction.
Even the
That's
title.
excellent.
The title is an actual headline from a newspaper article.
Really?
And it's about the main character that she really lived, Constance Kopp, with a K.
K-O-P-P.
Yeah, who became a cop. Well, actually, one of the first female sheriffs.
Okay.
But these are the author did a lot of research and researched this family, took stories from the headlines, and then built upon them to create a historical fictional piece that's a crime mystery drama, but there's some humor in it too. So it's
An
not
actual crime.
an actual crime that actually happened.
So you're sneaking in a little bit history lesson with the fiction, and that
For sure.
makes it more memorable. In fact,
I think people are going to be there's peppered throughout. There are these articles, newspaper articles, clippings that one of the sister, I think is it Norma, who clips them, and they've got all these headlines that are actual headlines of things that were going on, and mostly about women and sort of the way they were perceived and treated and at that time.
And this is the first in a series.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the book. Okay.
So if
Girl
you get,
Waits with Gun, Amy Stewart. Okay. And it's the first in a series?
Yes.
Okay. And the series, tell me more.
So her fourth book is coming out in
Early September.
Yep,
just before the reading.
So we chose to feature the first book in the series because you really should start with the first book in the series.
Yes.
Okay.
And then also the fourth book in the series won't be available in paperback. And when we plan Spokane is Reading, that is one of the serious criteria that the book be available in paperback. So it's affordable to the libraries and affordable to the public. And so, but
there's book 2 and 3.
And all sorts of great issues in them. One of the books, women are being arrested for waywardness, and which was a thing in the early 1900s.
Waywardness?
Yes. If you came home after curfew,
Oh,
your
dear.
parents could actually have you arrested and sent away for being a wayward daughter.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Times have changed.
Yes,
wow.
Times have very much changed.
Huh.
Like you said, still a lot of change that needs to happen.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so a little bit more about the book. So the Kopp sisters, Constance, Norma, and Florette, they are living out in a farm kind of out of town, and the whole thing starts, and this is, again, 1914, and they're on a buggy, and they have a horse that pulls the buggy at the same time that automobiles were coming around. And so the whole thing starts with an accident, an actual automobile accident. Oh, good. I got that right. And so that's the catalyst for the whole story is the gentleman that runs into them and destroys their buggy, and they're wanting to get, there's no insurance, there's no car insurance, buggy insurance at the time, so they want to, have it repaired, and that's their main transport into town in Patterson, New Jersey. So that's the start of it, and the driver of the automobile is not such a great guy. He's the leader of a gang, and he's a businessman, and he's kind of crooked, and so it kind of goes on from there.
An organization that's called, they refer to in the newspapers as the Black Hand, which is sort of the precursor to the mafia.
Really?
And so this is actual stuff going on in the newspapers at the time. And so I just became fascinated, and I want to go back and read more about this. And so I feel like a book like this that has all these little bits of history, it's opening doors for all of us. And what you mentioned also about the buggy and the automobile crash, it's kind of the crash of the old world and the new world coming together.
Yes,
and
literally.
Yeah. And then also Norma or Constance, the main character, becoming, she's a very independent woman. She runs their household, takes care of her sisters. So it's the crash of the women becoming independent with the old world of men running everything. So while Henry Kaufman, the driver of the automobile, is New World automobile, and the Kopp sisters are Old World horse and buggy. She's the New World independent women with Old World men.
Wow.
And so a lot of interesting things going on in this book.
Definitely.
And good conversation topics.
This definitely sounds like my summer read, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I read it in about 5 days. I could not put it down.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's the first in a series, so I'll have all my summer reads lined up in a
Right,
row already.
Which is why we try and announce the book early, so that people who don't have a lot of time to read, they can plan this for their summer read, and
You
then
bet.
the author comes in the fall.
You bet. Perfect. Or at least put the audiobook in when you're driving that road trip this summer, right?
And the name Amy Stewart might be familiar to other people. She is the best-selling author of Wicked Plants, Wicked Bugs, The Drunken Botanist. So these are just basically nonfiction. She does a lot of research for those as well. So if those are ringing a bell, this is her fiction, where she's done a lot of research as well.
Great.
So.
Well, it'd be very exciting. Amy Stewart coming to Spokane for Spokane is Reading on Thursday, September 27th.
Correct.
There are 2 programs, one in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, Spokane Valley Events Center, and then in the evening at Spokane Public Library downtown at 7 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And both events are free of charge.
Free.
And how exciting to be able
Doors
to go
open
in
about
here.
45 minutes early, so you can get a good seat.
Come in and get a good seat and purchase the book, or at least be able to be ready with your questions for the author and get to meet her. And great, she's written a lot of other types of books too.
Yes.
Sounds like it's going to be a great Spokane is Reading this year. I can't
excited.
wait. Yes, and I can't wait to read this book. In fact, I may just keep this one for myself and start reading it right away. And
I think
and
you'll
then,
really like it.
Great. Oh, so exciting. All right. Well, I'm glad that you were both here today and looking forward to this year's Spokane is Reading. thank you for the work you do in getting a community read going every year. I know it's not easy work, and it is kind of a side job in addition to what you already do as full-time work. So we appreciate it, and thank you for being here. And
thank you.
I can't wait to read this, and we'll gather back again in September.
That sounds great.
For Library Out Loud, I'm Jane Baker. We will see you next time.
Library Out Loud is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Library Out Loud is brought to you by the Spokane County Library District and STCU. Go visit and explore your local library today.